Chat, hello and welcome. This is a presentation about character optimization. You might think this is like auto included. No, you have to specifically include this because otherwise this is blank. Maybe I'll replace it with something in the actual video I make. I don't know. What is this about? Like, what's the point of character optimization? I'm using their words. They said optimization. We are analyzing how and why agents struggle and what they want to execute their ideal game plan based on their intended design. If someone said, oh man, Nekomata doesn't deal enough damage, how do we fix that? Let's turn her into a rupture agent. It's like, what? No, like that's not a realistic solution. Just let agents do the things that they want to do within reason. Give them the tools and options that they desperately want. If I show some exact numbers in this, those numbers are not hard and fast numbers. If I say this character gets a 50% damage buff, the 50% damage buff is not the point of the buff. Like, it could be 45%, it could be 55%. And if you want to know more about what the heck is he talking about when he says agent game plans, I made a video about that, and I encourage you to go check it out. So what is this not about? There is a scope to this discussion. What are we not talking about? We're not just saying, give character more damage, or just change their additional. This is probably something they will do, but that's a bit narrow-minded, and it's kind of boring, and it's always not the correct answer. In my example for this is Soldier 11. The problem with Soldier 11 was not, oh man, Soldier 11 doesn't deal enough damage. The problem with Soldier 11 is that her damage was essentially concentrated into her basic 4. And her basic 4, it's not worth considering outside of stun, because ideal game plan for Soldier 11 is basic 1, basic 2, basic 3, basic 4. Basic 1, basic 2, basic 3, basic 4. Here's what actually happened. Basic 1, basic 2, basic 3, dodge counter. Basic 1, basic 2, dodge counter. Basic 1, basic 2, basic 3, dodge counter. You see the problem here. She can never get to her basic 4. And so what are they doing? They're saying, hey, here's a way to actually use your basic 4. On top of that, when you have all these fire suppressions stacked up, we'll allow you to unleash all of them. Oh, that's actually really good. It's not just say, oh, we'll give her a 50% damage buff, call it a day. They made her more mechanically engaging to play. Similarly, that's a hard word to say. Similarly, Banyue does not need more damage. His damage is actually fine. What he wants is a better way to generate wrathful fire. As long as he has that, his damage is perfectly fine. The really good players, all of them are just saying like, yeah, it's not about the damage specifically, it's wrathful fire. If this is solved, then his damage is also solved. See, PJ, that's a great segue, because we're talking about Nekomata first. What is Nekomata? Nekomata is actually really good, and she's made even better with her Mindscapes and Steel Kushio? I misspelled this? That's okay. We'll pretend this. I'll put my cursor over this so it looks like an N. Steel Cushion. What does Nekomata want to do? She wants to attack enemies from behind. Here's the problem. There's no reason to do this because she doesn't have any moves that directly benefit from this. And no, her Mindscape 1 and Steel Cushion are not a part of her base kit. I spelled it right here. Anyway. Oh, she wants to attack enemies from behind. Okay, but what's the payoff? Well, the payoff is her Mindscape 1 and Steel Cushion. It's like, okay, cool. But what in her kit, like what move does she have that gives a big payoff to this? And the answer is 0. There are 0 moves. So how do we fix that? One way is to give her EX an EX follow-up. And this makes sense because she can ultra charge her energy pretty well. Her energy cost is pretty low. And when she uses this follow-up EX, it ignores 3.3% of the enemy's defense for every back attack you've used. And this can stack up to 10 times. After you use this move, this stacking effect will reset. The idea is to incentivize Nekomata wanting to attack enemies from behind, even outside of stun. That's kind of the point. As long as we can make that work, I think that will make Nekomata more enjoyable to play. Again, this is kind of like a rough idea. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Give her an EX that does a bajillion damage and dashes across the entire arena and auto targets homing. It's like, no. Let's be reasonable. I'm not that creative. Another way is that when she does consecutive identical attacks or EXs, increase their damage by some amount. I said 50% as like a ballpark answer. And part of this is because in her basics, on the last hit, there's a 33% chance to repeat this hit 3 times. This almost never matters for anything. And I think that kind of stinks. Like, wouldn't it be cool if there was like an actual payoff to this move other than it just randomly occurring? And so that was my idea for it. And so the idea is she will usually use 2 EXs in a row anyway. So she might as well be able to get a bonus for using double EXs. And finally, this is kind of the not the most important, but let her additional stack when anyone uses an ultimate. For those who don't remember, her additional increases the damage of her EX by 35%. I think it's 35%. Stacking twice. Yeah, it's 35%. See, I was right. Stacking up to twice. That sounds pretty good. How do we have to do it? Oh, someone has to inflict assault. Chat, why is the attacker have to inflict assault? That's an anomaly thing. Why is this part of the additional? And do you see the energy cost for her EX? You are never stacking this twice. It's just not happening. It just needs to do something. Literally, just letting this have anything would make it immensely better. Another idea is they could let her have more of her original base kit. Like in the beta, she was going to be more of like a mob destroyer, and that was cool, but like they've never really done anything with that yet. They could try to give her that back, especially with maybe they're going to do some changes to Shiyu defense that might encourage more like mob-oriented DPSs. That would be neat. We'll see. But next up on our list, Lycon. Why is Lycon here? Well, they said they're going to buff every standard agent, so I might as well include them. Here's the problem. Lycon is already really good. Like, he is the best standard agent in the game. So why would they ever bother buffing him? Well, there's actually a great reason for that. Half of his kit will tell you that he wants to do his charged basics. And there's no real point to ever using them. The ideal Lycon gameplay experience for most teams, defensive assists, EX switch. That's it. That's about it. In most Lycon teams outside of like Hugo, because Hugo is a very specific DPS, you're almost never using his charged basics. They're just not relevant to his game plan. And that's kind of unfortunate because like half of his kit, like his own W engine is awful on him because it only buffs his basics. And how you actually play him is that you never use his basics. I shouldn't say never. You never use them in a meaningful capacity. They do not meaningfully contribute to how Lycon supports the team, so they're not worth considering. So how do we fix this? We let his dodge counter not interrupt his basic combo. This is kind of important because his final basic is actually really strong, but you're almost never getting to it. That's one option. That's a bit standard. You know, I copied that a bit from Soldier 11. Another option is to, when he uses a quick assist or dodge counter, he can go straight into his basic 3 or 4. When you're switching him in, it gives you more of an incentive to do your charged basics because you're going to start further ahead of the combo anyway. Alternatively, we give him a new charged basic 6 after his basic 5 that he can use after his EX or an assist follow-up. So like instead of just tapping EX and immediately switching, you will hold down basic and he'll start charging up this basic 6. When this move hits, it increases their stun damage multiplier by 15% and reduces their ice resistance by 10% for 30 seconds. And this is supposed to line up with the debuffs he gives in his additional. And so that way there is some synergy. We are trying to give Lycon a reason to use his charged basics. And maybe then people will consider actually using his own W engine on him. If this new charged basic does a lot of damage in days, it's like, hey, might as well use the W engine for it. Why not? The next character, this is a special one. I had a lot of fun creating this. It's Kaleda. I thought this was funny. Kaleda has technically already been buffed. For those who weren't here last time, I made this joke because people are like, what the heck are you talking about? Kaleda has not been buffed. Yes, she has. In 2.0, they changed her additional so it include rupture agents. And this has never mattered for anything. She's not even used in the free-to-play teams. The free-to-play Monato teams, they just consider Pulchra. It's so funny. And so, how in the world do we buff Kaleda? Well, what does Kaleda do? She turbo stuns. Kaleda's a turbo stunner. That's about it. So just let that be more rewarding. Like, give Reason a Kaleda. Give Kaleda a reason to turbo stun enemies that benefits the team. Also, this is kind of important. Let her become a better DPS when she's paired with Ben. It is really weird that Kaleda and Ben have this unique synergy that no one else has just yet. I'm assuming the Angels of Delusion will have team up ults or whatnot. And it's weird that they have this synergy and it never matters because they are just not good. They have like an anti-synergy. They don't really work well with each other at all. And it's crazy. So let's fix that. Kaleda, after using an EX or an assist follow-up, she can go into her basic 3 or her basic 4. It depends. I was debating between one or the other. These moves already give you her Furnace Fire. Why don't you just let her go into those moves immediately? And this is the crazy one. Normally, it was hard for me to like create a brand new move for Kaleda. I could have done like after she uses her EX, she gets like an ultra powerful EX. Does she really need that? Not really. What am I adding to her additional? And these can stack 2 times. Kaleda's chain attack and ultimate gives the team 200 decibels and 12.5 energy or adrenaline. The one thing Kaleda struggles with is she stuns too fast. And because of that, your team does not have enough decibels or energy or adrenaline to do the things they want to do during stun. And instead of just saying, well, increase her damage, it's like, well, that's not helpful. Increase her days, well, that's not helpful. Increase the reason for Kaleda to turbo stun. Now, it's like, oh, Kaleda turbo stuns, that's a good thing. We're rewarding her intended game design. Her chain attacks, because she wants to buff her chain attacks reduce enemy defense by 4% and increase sheer damage taken by 2.5%. Again, the buff says increase the team's chain attacks by up to 70%. It's 35% stacking twice. Let there be a payoff for using chain attacks. So yeah, that's it. But there's one more thing. We haven't talked about Ben. What is Ben doing? When paired with Ben, her initial attack and crit damage increases by 100%. She can double her buffs and debuffs, all of these buffs and her chain attack buff in her original additional. Their max value can double, and she gets a new partner dodge counter that includes Ben's block counter. And the idea is to double down on making Kaleda a very niche DPS when paired with Ben, because right now Ben is not a very good support for Kaleda. Let's double down on that. Like, let's give him a new move that shows off their synergy, and let's show that, like, hey, the president and the bear, like, let's increase the synergy between them. Double her attack and crit damage. It probably won't be this high. The number is not specific. This could be 50%. This could be 70%. The idea is to highlight this unique synergy and show it off. That's about it. Next up is Rena. Honestly, I had a really hard time thinking of stuff for Rena, and I'll explain why later. Rena kind of wants to be in monoshock or pen ratio teams, but here's the problem. She's a bit clunky for both of those teams. She's usable, but she doesn't really excel in those teams. To help Rena actually be in like a monoshock team, for those who don't know, Rena technically lowers like your initial shock damage because she's contributing to the anomaly buildup, which means the game also calculates her stats as part of the damage. And if her anomaly proficiency is low, then she is nerfing the team's damage by some small percentage. So to change that, we'll use the text they give to Yuzuha. Basically, her anomaly buildup will not be calculated for the anomaly damage. And that just lets her be used in shock teams without punishing the damage for it. That's a really good buff for the original mono shock team of Grace and Anton. And other than that, maybe they could do something to like buff her anomaly output or like make her better in attack teams, like give her a reason to be used with Ellen and Corrin. But this one's really tough because I have a hard time visualizing how can we buff Rena in a way that makes her more mechanically engaging. They could just give her aftershocks, but that kind of takes away from her original design. Her original design was you play around the fact that her buff doesn't last a very long time, so you have to switch her in. And just giving her aftershocks kind of makes you ignore her in that sense, and so that doesn't seem interesting. I don't want to buff Rena in a way that makes you use her less. Why? That seems boring. We're trying to buff Rena to make her seem more engaging. There could be like some buildup where after a certain number of moves, she can get an aftershock. And as someone suggested before, give her more like bang boo support, like make her bang boos do something cool or something when she uses her hold basic. Chat, if you have really great ideas, let me know. Let me see your thoughts down below. Next up is Juyen. Juyen, I think Juyen is actually good. She is not in desperate need of buffs. Juyen actually has a pretty good game plan and she's good at it. So we might as well just make her burst feel more rewarding. How do we do that? For those who don't know, suppressive basic is when you hold the basic button. Give her a new suppressive basic that uses 3 shot shells instantly. After she uses her shot shell basic 3, we're going to reward players who build up their shot shells and then unleash them all. Big damage, go boom. And then she will get a new assault basic. Assault basic is her just pressing basic that allows her to reload 3 shot shells after her basic 3, after a quick assist, after a dodge counter, or after an EX. However, this reload can only be used by these moves once every 30 seconds. So if you reload after your EX reload has a 30-second cooldown, but your other moves do not. So if you do dodge counter, reload, EX reload, that's a lot of bullets. I try to limit this to still make her bursts good, but not just like dodge counter, reload, dodge counter, reload. I don't think that's actually interesting. But the idea is to reward her on-field use a bit more. She can have a bit more frequent bursts instead of just like sitting around a bit waiting for stun to happen. Let her be used more proactively on field without specifically needing a team like Astra Nicole. Ching Yi, this will be a funny one. The way she's used, she's actually an on-field DPS because she wants to hog a lot of field time and she wants to do a lot of damage. If you read through her kit, half of it is doing these moves deals a bunch of damage in days. And so how do we make that better? We either give her higher damage moves outside of stun, or there are some fights where she will struggle stunning the enemy, and we might as well like give her some, that way teams aren't just desperately staying on Chingy the entire time and not getting any payoff for it. Here's my idea. When she uses her Enchanted Moonlit Blossoms, it's when her gauge is full and she holds her basic. It's the big power move. If the target is not stunned, increase the stun damage multiplier by 0.5 for each stack of subjugation, and this buff applies outside of stun. I don't know if this is the right number I wanted to lean on, but I picked 0.5. And so that's just a little something. It's not gonna break the game. Chingy's getting like a small little buff because she already wants to stun really quickly anyway. But just until then, here's a little damage buff for you along the way. And then her Moonlit Blossoms extends the stun duration by 0.7 seconds, stacking 3 times. The idea is like the longer an enemy takes to stun, the better the reward for using Chingy will be, right? Because right now Chingy's kind of in like a crossroads of the longer she takes, the worse she is. Because Chingy wants to be on field to stun, but if she can't stun quickly, like you're better off just using a character like Trigger. So I kind of wanted to give Chingy a reward against enemies that take longer to stun. I don't know if this is like a great idea, but this was the one I thought of the quickest and I thought it made sense at the time. Also, her EMB can trigger a perfect dodge. So when she triggers that perfect dodge, she can follow that up immediately with a chain attack with double its damage buff. For those who do not know, and I feel like this is something people forget, her chain attack says when the attack hits an enemy, the skill's damage increases by 3% for every stack of subjugation. So her chain attack already has a damage buff for subjugation. Let's lean into this. Let's bring this out even more. So what's next on the list? Jane. We're talking about Jane. What is Jane? Well, Jane is a hypercarry anomaly agent, right? That's kind of what she's supposed to do, but she isn't really good at doing that. Right now, Jane's best role is being a support for a better DPS. I don't think that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just probably not the reason people pulled for Jane, right? Like if you were pulling for Jane, you were probably not thinking, oh yes, of course, I'm using her because she's an Alice support. Like what? No? How do we fix this? Like, how do we actually make her a better hypercarry anomaly DPS? I don't have a ton of experience using Jane, but I know what she wants to do. And her Xiao Chow jump, is it Xiao Cao? Xiao Cho? Xiao Cao? However it's pronounced. This move, it doesn't feel good at all. It's, you hold the button and she spins around in place and then she does a move. It just does not feel rewarding at all. There's a lot of build up to getting in passion state and then using this move, and the move just has such little range. It feels so clunky. Just make that good. Like actually give that something. Allow it to proc a disorder with assault. I don't know if there should be like a timer to this. I don't know how strong this disorder should be. She wants to be a hypercarry anomaly agent, and that's not really good because she can't get disorders in that context. Let her have her own tiny disorders sometimes, please. Like, let there be something for her to do with disorders. Iframes would be good. Like, that would be another thing. At least let that move be invincible. Every other DPS now, their best move is fully invincible. And at least for Jane, I think that move should be invincible. Why not? They could just copy paste her Lost Void buffs. I don't know. Her jump actually like buffs the team's like disorder damage or something for a while, I think, off the top of my head. I could have looked this up, but I chose not to. So that would be an interesting way to buff her. I don't think she should be turboing out this move. Anyway, I just want Jane to feel good. Right now, Jane is struggling to be better than Piper. I don't know if that's a great look. If you ask the original designer, I'm pretty sure he wasn't thinking, oh yes, I made Jane so she could be a support in the future. It's like, no, that's not how the original designer was thinking. Moving on, Yanagi. Does Yanagi even need buffs? No. No, actually, because Yanagi is like still really good. She is very powerful. Anytime there is an anomaly boss, Yanagi is always in contention because she is just really good as the main DPS, and she's also really good as a support because she just buffs disorder damage, and her entire kit is centered around her own personal disorders and buffing disorders. As long as the enemy is not hyper resistant to shock, she is perfectly capable in pretty much any anomaly team right now. So yeah, what would I do for Yanagi? I don't know. Just give her like a weaker version of her Lost Void buffs or something. I don't know. Does she even need them? Like, not really. Maybe give her like a unique basic 6 while both Jaugen and Kagen are active. That would be something. But like, she's already really good. Like, I don't think they need to buff her. If anything, they've been making bosses that are anti-anomaly. That is the biggest problem with Yanagi, but that's not a problem with Yanagi. That's a problem with boss design. Buffing Yanagi to ignore bad anomaly bosses, they're just going to make non-anomaly bosses that will counter that. So Yanagi's really good. She doesn't need a buff. Lighter is a niche support who was power crept by a generic support, and that kind of stinks. So what is the solution to this? How in the world can Lighter reclaim his title as the undefeated champion that he stole from Billy? It wasn't stolen, it was passed down, but whatever. Matsu, I think you're confused. This is definitely Lighter. He's got the shades, he's got the jacket, he's got the mechanical fiery hand. This is Light. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, how do we fix Lighter? We double down on his niche. The solution to making Lighter better is not to make him generic. It's to make him even more powerful in his niche. Give him his taunt. His taunt will reappear in the co-op. Just give him his taunt. When he uses his taunt, it increases the impact he gains from his core by some amount. I never ironed it down because I didn't want to worry about it. So increase his impact from his core, and his additional's max damage buff increases to 125% for 30 seconds and increase the team's crit damage by 10% of his impact. This is one I'm not too sure about. I could think this could probably be lower, but the idea, instead of the max being 75%, make him even more powerful in his niche. Double down on it. And here's one more thing. Lighter's a fighter, but you rarely see his moves. So what I want to do is, after 7 unique basic attacks or shuffle dodges, he uses 3 morale burst finishers sequentially. He can only do this once, but this resets after he uses a chain attack or an ultimate. What do I mean by unique basic attacks? I'm going to show you something you might not have ever seen from most videos. Lighter has a lot of attacks if you hold the stick instead of just letting it go, and you never use them. And so the idea is like, hey, give a payoff for using these moves, because right now there's like never a reason to use them. And I chose 7 specifically because basically how Lighter is currently played is he holds down basic, and that's about it. Like, that's all he does. And so I want to expand that design to let him actually do the stuff that he has in his kit and make that more rewarding. And so when he's in, and so that buff I did is right now he's in morale burst state. He would have 3 of these final punches right here. Punch, punch, punch. Let him do that. Lighter has some cool stuff in his kit, and there's not a reason to ever use it. So like, let's give Lighter a reason to use it. I don't want to update his additional. I just don't want to update the requirements to like attack and rupture. I'm not opposed to it. I just think this is more interesting. All right, on to the next character. We are getting into the final stretch because basically all the agents after 1.4 are really good. They already buffed Soldier Zero Ambi. Trigger's really good. Vivian's really good, Hugo's really good, Astra's really good, Evelyn's really good, even Harumasa. They could change some things about Harumasa. Chat, you probably already know who this final character is. Ben! Like, huh? What the heck? He's here? Yeah, why not? Let's talk about Ben. Ben's like a counter DPS that scales off a defense, and he has a shield that buffs the team, but like, he doesn't ever get enough energy, so he can't really be a counter DPS, and he doesn't get enough combat defense for his defense scaling to really matter. He uses his dodge counter over his special block counter, and his shield and the buff it gives are way too weak. You wish Ben was just slightly better at doing the things he wants to do. Remember, I already gave Kaleda a reason to be paired with Ben, so what am I giving this guy? When he gives a perfect block, give him 8 energy. Let the guy have his energy. Just let him have it. It doesn't have to be 8, it could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 4. Here's another thing, his defensive assist will count as perfect blocks. Why does that matter? His assist follow-up count as a perfect block. He can now use his EX block follow-up after an assist follow-up. So the one where he spins around with his pillar, let him do that after his assist follow-up. Because he's already blocked the attack, it kind of makes sense that he would just be allowed to do this. We are adding to his additional. Using an EX block follow-up after a block counter gives his shield 8% crit rate and 24% crit damage. The reason is because right now, the way Ben is actually played is that he will just use the block and then not use the follow-up because the follow-up costs too much energy. Now, the reward for using your follow-up after a block counter specifically is that you buff his shield. Okay, so that's kind of cool. We're like making his shield better, we're making his moves better, but what about the fact that he's a defense scaler? Are we doing anything with that? Yes, I am. Adding to his core, when Ben has his shield active, it increases his defense by 15%. And it's basically just copy pasting what's in his additional, but now it's also adding his combat defense. Mindscape 2, inflict additional 300% of Ben's defense as damage. I think this is really cool. If you read through his W engine, after being attacked, the next hit will trigger a crit and deal 600% of the equipper's defense as additional damage. So like, let's lean into the fact that Ben's a defense scaler and actually give him combat defense buffs. And then when he triggers a block counter, this defense gain increases to 25% for 10 seconds. We want to reward Ben for being a block counter DPS. He wants to be a counter DPS. Let him be rewarded for doing that. And this will also increase the damage he's doing on a lot of his block counters. Do I think they're actually going to do this? No, of course not, right? That's not the point. The point is, we are trying to think about how could they make Ben more rewarding for his intended game plan. And this is it. If they do some of these, I would be happy. They probably won't do any of these though. I'm just trying to be realistic. Next up, Lucy. This is the last A rank actually. There were more A ranks I could have done, but I decided these two were more interesting to talk about. Lucy is probably the weakest support in the game, and everyone's just kind of better than her. How do we make her better? Well, she has this cool mechanic with her boars and their ability to be a sub DPS. Let's just fully lean into that. Like, she'll still be a support, but now we're highlighting her damage. When the cheer on buff is extended, specifically extended, the buff increases by 25% of its original value, stacking 3 times. How does Lucy extend her buff? At Mindscape 6, when allies hit enemies with an EX, it will extend the duration of her cheer on buff by 5 seconds. And so ideally, we put her in a team that wants to turbocharge that, so like Piper and Bernice, reward the team for playing to Lucy's gimmick. Lucy has a gimmick of extending her cheer on buff, let's lean into that. They need to give her a variant of Monato's Nero slamming attack as a hidden input. She got the anger for, exactly, that's a good idea. Honestly, they could allow her to use her other basics after her dodge counter. See, right now these are physical hits. After she throws her boar, after she hits it with the bat, they become fire. They all become fire, except that final slam. It's weird that she has this, but it doesn't matter for anything because no one uses her as an on-field DPS. After she extends her buff 3 times, her guard boars ignore defense and increase their crit rate, crit damage, attack, impact, and anomaly proficiency by 20% of Lucy's. And this resets when her her cheer on buff expires. Let's lean into the fact that her guard boars inherent her stats, lean into that aspect of her character design. Now she can actually be like a real sub DPS that's also supporting the team by playing to her gimmick of using her cheer on buff. Moving on, Caesar. This is the last one. There's a lot to talk about. So I'm not going to talk about all of her issues up front. We will discuss them as we go along. How I would buff Caesar. Give her a reason to gain and spend assist points. And maybe, just maybe, lean a tiny bit into her beta design as a crit DPS. In the first beta we had with Caesar, Caesar was a crit DPS. She had a shield, but the shield was half of its size and it did not have any attack buff. They then changed her to be a support, essentially, and I think that was for the best. Instead of just saying, oh, make her shield better, just buff her shield attack. No. Let's make her more rewarding for the players who engage with her unique mechanics. How do we do that? Assist follow-up is animated so she can't teleport to enemies. Just change that. Like, that's the one big change I would give to her. I'm going to pull up the latest Shield defense boss. As you saw, Caesar's entire assist follow-up missed the enemy, because when she does the move, Caesar stays in place when she does the move. She is anchored to her current position. And that's kind of a problem, because sometimes it means she will just miss. Right there, she didn't miss. But if the enemy runs around a lot in their attacks, or she is pushed back far enough, because sometimes you get hit 2 times, she will just miss. Compare that to a character like Piper. Piper teleports in front of the enemy. Nicole teleports in front of the enemy. Ben will teleport in front of the enemy. See, we're too far away. Ben and Piper teleport in front of the enemy. Basically, Caesar's assist follow-up kind of made sense when it came out, because enemies didn't really move that much after you did your follow-up, but now they do. A new agent released nowadays would never have the assist follow-up that Caesar has, because it's just really unhelpful. So bring her more in line with current design standards. The way she's locked in place, it's because they want to do the throwing thing from where she is. Let her teleport in front of enemies when she does it. That's it. Allow her assist follow-up to interrupt enemies. Her assist follow-up will just miss a lot of the times, because it will hit enemies and they will keep doing the things they were going to do. And that's kind of lame. Right now, Yuzuha is a better defense agent than most defense agents, because she has a built-in parry that also stun locks enemies in place. She can stop Miasmic Jane from doing her multiple strikes in a row. She can hit the Miasmic Fiend off field. Why is Yuzuha better at doing that than a defense agent? Let Caesar interrupt enemies with her assist follow-up. It makes sense. When you switch an agent, the buff from Radiant Aegis will last for 2 seconds. I don't want to do the buff of just let her shield be active for the whole team, because that was not a part of her original design. I want to lean into the fact that Caesar is a very strong supporter for one on-field agent, but I don't want to take away from the teams that do switch off. There should be some reward, but I don't want to change the identity of Caesar to just being a generic support that buffs the entire team. I don't think that leans into an aspect of the character that I find interesting. Overpowered Shield Bash. That's the follow-up. Her EX has 2 parts. The first part is like the perfect block, and the next part is the Shield Bash itself. That now has a follow-up at the cost of 1 assist point, and this move will interrupt enemies. Give her another move after her overpowered Shield Bash, because that's already a move she wants to do, and it's more rewarded after a perfect block because it reduces the energy cost to 0. Now, every perfect block in retaliation will generate 1 assist point if you have less than 6. And this can happen once every 40 seconds. This exact number is not set in stone. The idea is that let her generate assist points because she wants to gain and spend assist point. Why does this matter? For each assist point spent by the team, or that is gained by Caesar, the attack of Radiant Aegis increases by 50% of its original value for 15 seconds, stacking 3 times. Why did I say stack 3 times? At Mindscape 4, when Caesar uses a chain attack or ultimate, she gains 3 additional assist points. If her energy is below 20, she can activate EX, Overpowered Shield Blast, with 1 assist point instead. And so I'm trying to lean into the fact that she has a Mindscape that wants to buff the fact that she uses and spends assist points. Let's lean into that. By having it stack up to 3 times, it means you kind of want to use, maybe you'll use a hold basic, use her EX to start a chain attack, then you will do her chain attack and ultimate. You spent 1 assist point, and then from Caesar you gained 2 because you used her chain attack and her ultimate. The point is, let Caesars have a reward for gaining and spending assist points. That's it. And by doing so, we buff her shield. So that way, using defensive assists with Caesar actually has a really good payoff. It's not just, oh, here's some extra days. It's like, no, we are actively making our shield stronger, and because you perfect blocked, you gained an assist point. That also makes your shield stronger, but that buff doesn't last forever. Like, you can't just do a one and done thing of like, oh, I blocked 1 attack with Caesar, and now I can ignore her for 30 seconds. It's like, no, you gotta be active with this character. You have to use her. You can't just ignore her. The reason I said 50% for 15 seconds is because there's some times where this buff might run out. The reason I put this 15-second time limit on is so it could last for the duration of a stun period. I want players to play around with making sure this buff is always active and it doesn't restack. Like, each stack is a separate stack. You don't want to spend all of your assist points too early because then you might run out and not be able to get more. The idea is like to play around the fact of gaining and spending assist points. I thought this would just make her more engaging to play and also more rewarding for using her. This could be 30%. This could be 25%. The point is that this is just to give you an idea, like a ballpark idea of how we can make the character more mechanically engaging to play. Now, her ultimate adds a 30% crit buff to Radiant Aegis for 15 seconds. This is supposed to incentivize like her using her ultimate to buff the team in some capacity. Right now, it kind of doesn't really do anything. It reapplies her shield, so that's interesting, but I don't know if I want to lean into that too much. And right now, her ultimate does 100% bonus days to shielded enemies, and that doesn't really matter. So let's lean more into the fact that she kind of wants to substitute for a stunner or a support. So against non-shielded enemies, her ultimate stays increases by 50%. And if the enemy has a shield, I said shielded or miasma because I wasn't sure if miasma counted as a shield. Now her ultimate has an increased 250% days. If they want to center her around like, oh, use your ultimate when the enemy has a shield, it's like, okay, that doesn't matter. Could you please let this matter? Like, let's lean into this. Let's lean into the fact that she wants to use her ult against enemies with a shield of some sort. So buff that, hyper buff that. Let's lean into that. That's about it. That's about all I have for this presentation. Will these buffs happen? I don't know, probably not. Maybe. If they do want to sell older units, this is probably what they have to do. In fighting games, there's a famous fighting game, you might have heard of it, called like Street Fighter 2. Post-production here, I never got to finish making my point because I was responding to comments in the live. So I'm gonna just do it now. A game called Street Fighter 2 was very influential for what it did in the fighting game community. The Triple Z devs has said they are designing characters like they are fighting game characters, and so that's why this is relevant to the discussion. Street Fighter 2 is notorious for having multiple different versions of the game. There's Street Fighter 2, there's Super Street Fighter 2, there's Street Fighter 2 Turbo, there's Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. There are a couple more, but you don't really need to know them. The point is that with each of these new games, something is usually changed about the balance of the game. Something is adjusted to make the game feel differently. Right now, it seems like a lot of the characters up until around 1.4 were released for Super Street Fighter 2, and a lot of the cast afterwards have been made for a game like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. What that means is that a lot of characters have a lot more different options that previous characters couldn't do. When I'm thinking of character buffs, I'm thinking in line of this current character was designed in the context of base Street Fighter 2. How can I update them to fit with the rest of the roster in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo? That is why I think it's fair to not just call them buffs, they are optimizing them because the game has changed how it wants to design things. They have changed how they want specific teams to look like. They have changed how they want to design enemies. And if they want to do that, that's fine. But the rest of the cast has not been updated for those enemies and for those teams. And so what they're doing now is they're going back and re-evaluating if we created this character right now using our current design trends and philosophies. What would these characters look like? They are taking base Street Fighter 2 characters and they are adjusting them so that they belong in the environment of Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And this is not just limited to Street Fighter, you can see this in games like Tekken. You can see this in games like Monster Hunter. The original Monster Hunter game is completely different from the current game. I am not going to comment specifically about Monster Hunter Wilds right now, but they have greatly expanded the combat gameplay since then. It doesn't make sense to copy-paste the original gameplay from original Monster Hunter into Monster Hunter Wilds. It would not be good, it would be really bad. Now, I am not arguing that the original cast is somehow equivalent to like base Monster Hunter. I am using this as an analogy to say as they made more games, they adjusted the monsters you fought and how your weapons interacted with them so that they would match the tempo and the mechanical depth that they were going for. It's not simply a let's buff the greatsword, it's let's adjust the greatsword to fit the context of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, where you can now go into the air, and I see that the devs are doing a similar thing here. Granted, I hope they don't have to keep doing this with everyone. A lot of these issues would be solved if they just stopped making enemies stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and respectively making agents stronger and stronger and stronger. They don't have to do that. They're choosing to. They could slow that down and the game would still be really fun and enjoyable. Don't mistake this video as a, oh my gosh, he's saying they should just continue to buff everyone. No, that sounds like a really bad idea. Please don't continue to buff everyone. I don't want that. Adjust agents that need to be adjusted because their designs are a bit outdated. Not adjust agents just because they aren't dealing enough damage. Anyway, back to the video. They said they're going to buff the standard agents. I think they will want to consider buffing Juyen and Jane and Qingyi and Caesar. I don't think they'll buff Yanagi or Lighter. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll buff Lighter eventually. I'll wait and see for when that happens. So yeah, that's about all I have for this discussion. Thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see, let me know down below. My name is Yojimbo Blade, and I hope you'll have a great day. See you soon. Subscribe if that's what you feel like, or share this around if you want others to see this. Shoutouts to my super sponsors, Super Bro and I Love My PC Necros. Thank you guys so much.